The question is, the House agrees with the motion. I call the member for Maitland.
Thank you, Mr Temporary Speaker. In 1999, I had my first son, a boy, Joshua. We were very excited to have him. We actually, in my business at the time, ran a raffle to choose his name, and we picked it out, and the people who chose his name of Joshua won a $250 voucher and took a trip to the Northern Territory. During that time, there was lots of excitement. Imagine working in a group of, with a group of older people. It was like having every grandma on the planet rooting for me. They sent me booties and headscarves and everything. He was meant to be a millennium bug. He was due on the 31st of December 1999, and my husband, I think I agreed to the whole idea of naming him out of the hat because my husband's other idea was to name him after Kodak to get some sponsorship, and we all know how that would have gone. He ended up, instead of being a millennium bug though, of being a little Christmas beetle arriving on the 21st of December. And if anyone ever meets my son, they will know that there is always strategy, and he managed to squeeze in one extra Christmas in his life that he was not entitled to. I was pleased about this because I was living in Walker at that time, a small town in New England of 1,600 people. I was living in the matron's quarters next door to the hospital, but I couldn't actually deliver Josh there because it was my first baby, and the rural health facilities there didn't go to obstetrics for new mums. And so I knew I was going to have to go to Armidale, and the doctor, or obstetrician, was the only obstetrician in Armidale practising that time, Dr. Colin Mason, was about to retire on the 31st of December, so it was actually probably very fortuitous that Josh was a little bit more strategic than I was. My husband and I were so pleased to have this child. I had been told when I was younger that I probably wouldn't be able to have kids because I had endometriosis. So we were just so excited. During a 19-hour delivery in a rural hospital, lucky to have the obstetrician there, I had a complete everted uterus. Whole shot, box and dice comes out after a von Schuss extraction and massive tearing. And I came from a generation where women don't talk about problems that happen during childbirth because they don't want to scare new mums, and I'm sorry. It happens to 1 in 10,000 women though, and it was something that I was lucky I had prepared for because I'd read religiously, like it was my Bible, everything to expect when you're expecting, or what to expect when you're expecting. And every day since then, I thank Dr. Mason for not just saving my life, but saving my fertility. I wasn't sure if I could ever have another child, and I was very lucky to have another one a bit over 2 years later, Jessica. And they're 16 and 18 now. Great people in my life who I love so much. But that experience, I went back to my first work function 4 days after I gave birth because it was just a happy time. I went back to work full-time at night after 9 days. My husband and my in-laws brought me a few things to do in hospital just to keep me going, because that is the life for women in small businesses, having babies, trying to manage those things, pre-maternity leave, parental paid leave, which has made such a difference. And then 6 weeks later, we moved to Maitland, where I had a new GP, a new obstetrician. I was closer to my parents, thank goodness. I went from being 8 hours drive away to only 5 hours away. And then my husband went on the bus with our tours, and my in-laws went on the bus with their tours, and I stayed with this new baby and this new business. And I guess you're kind of working out now that I kind of now realise I probably had perinatal depression at that time. But it was the confusion of that experience, I think, that made it hard for me to accept that. My sister put it, as she so eloquently does, into very good words by saying, if you had have been in hospital for a week after a car crash, nobody would have expected you to go back to work and be happy and have such fun. And you've had this amazing baby, but there's still all these things you have to do. And I had health issues going on for the next 6 months. And I think I want to make a special mention of a doctor in Newcastle who was an obstetrician but also a psychiatrist, and he helped me so much because I didn't actually have to explain the horror of the birth. I could just talk about my feelings because he knew what I meant when I said that. But I just want to thank so much the member for North Shore for bringing this to the House today, because I am one of 5 not old mothers now, but new mothers who experience perinatal depression and anxiety. There's 1 in 10 new fathers who experience that, and 50% of all parents will experience adjustment disorders, and we all know that. We laugh about it, the late nights and the early mornings. And but coming from that regional and rural and remote experience, as I did, I just want to say a sincere thanks to the Gidget Foundation, because the free video counselling service would have helped enormously, and would help for new and expecting mums and dads. It's been a big health day for me today. It helps those women who are experiencing perinatal depression and who are unable to have a face-to-face consultation. And I think it's so important that people know about this, that they know about the PANDA, National Perinatal Anxiety and Depression Helpline and Lifeline, but particularly Gidget. We have an opportunity in this place to talk about things which impact on our communities. And I think it always comes so much more carefully, thanks Tony, and thoughtfully when we've experienced them ourselves, which is why every day I thank the political parties, the people in our electorates who have worked to get more women into Parliament so we can talk about issues like this that affect women across our state. So thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
I thank the member for Maitland.